Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to True Sound Studios. I'm Weezna. Today, I want to continue talking about running a modern studio, and today specifically, I want to talk about mix revisions. So mix revisions, especially with the way I work where everything is online, gets a little tricky because the client's not here in my studio, and I essentially need to try to figure out the end result of what that artist was looking for in order to get the mix right so that, I don't have to go through a whole bunch of mix revisions. Okay, so let's talk about minimizing the amount of mix revisions an artist might want or need. So mix revisions happen because, the artist has one idea in their head of what the song's going to be like. Let's say it's a cheeseburger with French fries. They know they want a cheeseburger with French fries, but you think they want a veggie burger with sweet potato fries. They're both good. It's not exactly what the artist was looking for, and therefore the mix revisions happen. So that is the reason why when I work with an artist, what I like to do is I really like to, first of all, understand their terminology for a song and for the track. So I might ask, well, how do you want the vocals to sound? And they might say, well, I want the vocals to be loud and warm. Okay, well, what is a loud mix to you? And I might have them send me one or two, other tracks that they kind of want to reference. And then I'll ask, okay, well, what does warm sound to you? Now, to me, warm sounds like not a ton of high end, maybe more focused on the mids and mid lows. But to them, warm could mean super crispy, ton of treble, and, a super wide vocal. So I first have to understand what that person is looking for in order to do the mix so that I don't have to have, 100 mix revisions. So I think understanding what the artist wants is the most important thing. So that is the reason why I almost always refuse to talk about what an artist wants over text or email. I want to do an actual video call or phone call or just voice messages so that I can understand what the artist wants. Because I think if you can figure that out, it really, really eliminates the amount of mix revisions, because when you go ahead and mix that song, you're going to get pretty much all the way there, before you even get into the revision process. Now, the second reason somebody might want mix revisions is, it has to do with us engineers, right? Everybody starts off, we all start off mixing stuff and the mixes are good and then they get better and they get better and better. Depending on what point in your career, you just might not be that great at mixing, a whole bunch of different genres with a whole bunch of different types of artists recording on their own mics and their own studios, and you just might not be great. The same thing I had when I started out. I was great if somebody came to my studio and recorded. I could mix that stuff so well. But when I started getting the online mixing, it was more and more difficult for me to mix that stuff because totally different sounding rooms, totally different sounding mics, maybe not so great recordings, and things that I would have fixed in the recording process, I now have to somehow fix in the mix. And then also getting used to other people's recording processes and how they set things up and how many tracks they would record for a particular vocal part or whatever it might be. That is just the learning process. It's learning to get better and better. And a reason an artist might want to do mix revisions is maybe just your mix has some issues. It has some things that definitely need to be worked on. Maybe you just didn't hear them, or maybe you're just not sure how to fix them, or you just can't make it any better. And therefore the artist is looking for, a higher level of quality. And that's why they're kind of like trying to push you to get past those things so that you can fix them and then the artist can be happy. Okay, so now I want to talk about how many mix revisions should you allow? Well, that's really tough to say because you and the artist are trying to get to a point where you're both happy. So for me personally, I don't actually have a maximum amount of mix revisions. I don't say you got to do this in 3. I really truly want the artist to be happy. I also want to be happy with the mix. So I'm really willing to go however many mix revisions I need to get to the point where me and the artist are happy. But that is only based on the mix. Now, when you start getting into things like, oh, the artist says, oh, well, what if we try to do this to the synth? Or what if we tried a different kick drum? Or what if we tried to use delay instead of reverb? That's more production type stuff. That is things that I charge extra for, because if the mix is really great and they're happy with it, but they want to start playing around more like production type stuff, that's the things that I feel like the artist needs to pay for. That is a different side of mix revisions. And also, you should evaluate yourself. You know, like I was saying before, maybe you're just not that great at mixing, and therefore you should offer maybe a couple extra mix revisions than you would think. So if you say 3 is the maximum, all right, well, maybe 4 or 5 should be your absolute max before you actually start charging that person more money, because, you know, it really could just be that, you know, it is your mixing skills that aren't the best, they aren't perfect, and therefore it's going to take you a little longer to get that mix to be really good. You should talk with the artist right from the start and just say, listen, you know, we're going to get this track to be exactly where, you know, both the engineer and the artist want. But if you want to start trying things out, you want to try this and try that, that is more production stuff. That should be handled in the recording production side of things, not in mixing. Now, of course, you can decide this all on your own, right? It's your studio, it's your decision, but these are just things to think about. Something that I think is really important that you should always make sure you talk to your artists about, especially if they're never coming in your studio and they're sending you tracks, is how to improve for the next time. I think constructive criticism is a really, really great way to make the artist have better recordings or better productions, which consequently make your mixes and masters sound even better. So I always will say, to anytime we do any track, you know, the recordings were great. Next time, you know, maybe I can help you come up with a better idea, a better place to record vocals in, so we have a little less room sound, so that we have a little bit more of a drier vocal, so that I can just make a little bit better of a mix. Things like that. It's always good to give them something to work on for the next time, so that the quality just continues to grow with that artist. Another thing to note is that when you first start working with an artist, right, you know, you got to kind of both figure each other out. The first song might be a little rough. The second song gets easier. The third song is usually pretty good. And from there, it really just gets easier and easier to work with the same artist, because you really start to understand what they want, which is another reason why, you know, if you have this strict, you only can do 3 mix revisions, well, next time, maybe they might find somebody else who's going to allow them to do a couple more mix revisions without charging them more. Because really, when you start working with an artist, you start figuring them out, you start understanding what they want, it becomes easier and easier for you as a mixing engineer to make the mix happen quicker and sound better every time. So that's just at least my take on the whole thing. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely look out for more videos just like this, but till the next video, I'll see you guys then.